call the Rhode Island Turnpike and Bridge Authority meeting to order. First item on the agenda is public comment. Do we have any today? None. Okay. Next is the minutes of the August 20th, 2025 meeting. Any changes, questions, comments? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the minutes? Motion by Peter, seconded by Karen and Charles. Discussion, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next. Ayes have it. Next is the 2025 audited financial statement draft. I'll look to Jeff, and you can pass the puck.
That's definitely what I'm going to do. First of all, everyone, this is Erica Alobri. She is the managing director at CBIZ. They performed the audit this year, as they have in the last few years. You'll have this in your packet today. If you can just turn to that instead of the audited financial statements. And then Erica, if you want to take it from here.
Perfect.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to see everyone. Familiar faces from the previous year. So you do have the draft financials, and then you also have the presentation. So I'll just walk you through the results of the audit for June 30th, 2025. And I just want to say thank you to the team internally. Obviously, Jeff and Tony did a lot of work to get to this point and make the state deadlines. You know, it's a quick turnaround. Keeping the records clean all year is a lot easier to get through that audit process and tie up everything. So let's take us through the first slide. So we'll go through basically the summary of the audit, and then I'll take you through the required communications. The audit results, we'll talk about some major estimates that are in there, very similar to last year. We'll go through new GASBs that were implemented, not a material effect on the financials, but they are in your footnotes just to be aware of. And then the back few slides are just really kind of the background of CBIZ and what we offer. We won't really read slide for slide, but I just wanted to give it to you just to give you an idea. I don't think we issued on CBIZ last year. I think we might have still been Markham.
Yep.
So this is the first year we'll be issuing on the CBIZ letterhead. So going through the audit results, there are a few reports that you'll see in your auditor's report. So this is on slide, maybe slide 4. So we'll talk about the opinion on the financial statements. It's unmodified, it's a clean opinion. It's exactly what you want. So again, when we do an audit, we look at the internal controls, we design our tests, and we do sampling. Obviously, we're not testing 100% of the balances, we are sampling different balances, and basically looking at the internal controls throughout the year. There's no instances of fraud or illegal acts that were noted during our work. We didn't have any material uncertainties that were noted. And there were no significant changes from when we started the audit to when we got into the field work and the testing. So anything we decided that was a significant risk from planning, that was what we addressed during the testing. The next slide goes on reporting on supplemental information. So obviously in your financial statement package, you have a lot of schedules that the state requires. They want the information rolled up into the detail that they want to see so that they can consolidate it on the state level. So again, all the same information in your basic financial statements, just broken out maybe a little bit differently so that the state can see it in their format. Again, if we look at that and we're opining that everything's fairly stated in those schedules as well. There's also a report under government auditing standards. That's basically the Yellow Book report. So if there were any kind of material weaknesses, significant deficiencies, those get noted in that report, and there are none in the report. So that's a good thing. The next few slides will go through the audited results. So again, we did implement 2 new GASBs this year. GASB 101 was related to compensated absences. It was just a difference in the way you're looking at the accrued liability for compensated absences of employees. Again, that was not a material effect on the authority's books, but that is a disclosure in the financial statements. GASB 102 was also implemented this year, so that's just risk disclosures. Nothing of an impact for the authority. There was nothing changed. Everything in the notes is very similar to last year. No other new accounting policies were applied. There were no significant unusual transactions, and no alternative accounting policies were done in the current year. And again, management's communications with you throughout the year, we feel are in line with the best practices of the organization. So these are just going to go through the different things we need to communicate to you charged with governance. So again, there were no audit adjustments detected by us during an audit that weren't already done by management. There were no adjustments that we brought to management's attention that we had to pass on, because if there were, we would have to attach those here. The financial disclosures that we'd like to point out is the fair value measurement on the investments, because it is a significant balance on your statement net position. So there is a lot of information in the footnotes there. And then also the revenue recognition note on violation tolls and bill by mail. Again, that's something, and that's in the notes pointed out to the reader. Management has not posted or published data contained in the audited financials, so we would have to disclose that if that was here. And then related party matters, anything related party is in the notes to the financial statements. So there is information on the DOT transactions, that's in the notes. No disagreements with management. There were no other consultations on how things are being reported in the financial statements with other firms. No auditor consultations were required outside of our engagement team. And no issues conditional to the retention of the engagement. And we didn't have any difficulties doing the audit. So all good things there. The next slide really just talks about some major estimates that are in your financials. In every financial statement, there are estimates built in. The useful life of fixed assets is one. The allowance for when you book a receivable and you say, I'm gonna have it 100% collected versus 50%. That's all an estimate based on activity.
Do fixed assets include the structures, the bridges? Or
Yes.
It does. I'd be interested to know. That's okay. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, so
I
those
understood
are all
that.
in the notes, anything that's in capital assets.
Right.
And the lives that they're being, because it changes the depreciation expense that's reported. And then the next slide really goes over the actual financial data. So this will point out on a summary level, so there's a lot more detail in your financial statement package. So this is the statement of net position. So June 30th, 2025, there was about $395 million in total assets, and last year was about $384 million. So an increase of about $10.6 million, largely due to the investment performance, so that's a good thing there. The liabilities came down, so they're about $197 million as of June 30th, 2025. Last year they were about $204 million. So debt payments being made in accordance with the terms, so those liabilities are coming down as needed. Deferred inflow is very consistent, and your overall net position increased about $17.6 million this year. So net position as of the end of the year is about $198 million. And then the next one here is the statement of activities. So overall, the operating revenues and expenses. Something a little bit different that you'll see on this statement this year, you'll see that special item of $1.4 million. That was really the disposal of the toll booths. So it's something that was just special, not something that happens in the normal course of business. So pulled out just for the reader to show that it's a one-time activity. So overall operating revenues are down about $1.8 million. That was due to the stall in the billing, the bill by mail item there, so there was a decrease in revenues there. Overall operating expenses are very consistent from year to year, and then your operating income is just down about $2.6 million there.
And Erica, if I may, so obviously the focus is year over year. With respect to our budget, our revenue was up approximately $1 million, and we were under our operating expenses versus budget by about $1.1 million. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. So overall, the change in that position before the capital contributions and your special items was about $18.6 million. So bringing you down to that net change of
Beverly said to the group,
$6 million after
"Good
your
morning,
capital
just sent
contribution.
Lise and additional documents for your review and signature. Please let me know if you have any questions, Ty."
And then the next slide here really just goes over the cash flow activity. So again, I always point out to the reader, you want the organization to be generating cash from operations. That's very consistent from year to year, generating about $34.2 million this year. You're always going to have money put back into the organization in capital and financing. So that's about $23.5 million this year. And then also investing activity. So you have a net decrease there of $9.8 million. So overall, that's the performance for the year for June 30th, 2025. Any questions? And I'd like to point out to the reader, in your financial statement, the management discussion and analysis is really a good read for someone that's looking at the financials. It really tells you the story of what happened during the year and all the activity pointed out just in a reader's view, rather than just looking at the footnotes. So that's really that presentation, and then the appendix really here is just to give you some new developments that are coming out, you know, the federal level. Obviously, that's changing on a day by day. We're keeping our eyes peeled. Our teams in DC are on the ground kind of reporting back to us, and then, you know, we have newsletters that go out, so we share those with our clients once we have new information. There are new standards rolling out for the next few years. There's a disclosure for capital assets, so that may have an impact next year. And then the reporting model under GASB will be changing as well, and that will be impacted next year as well. So those are things, as those come out, we'll share the information with Jeff and the team, just so that you're proactive in making those changes. The next slide really just talks about uniform guidance changes. You guys haven't really, at the state level, been subjected to uniform guidance compliance. But these are just some of the changes that are coming down the pipe, you know, the threshold changes, and like some changes from a procurement standpoint on regulations. So again, not really an impact right now, but if you ever had to have your federal audit done from the state side, those would be things that would be applicable. And then really the next few slides just gives you a background on CBIZ and CBIZ CPAs. Obviously we have a large government sector practice, so if you ever had any type of questions or anything you wanted to bounce off of our teams, you could always reach out. We are available for any types of questions and things like that. And that's really concludes. There's a lot of stuff in the slides. I won't read it to you, but it's there for your information.
Thank you. Nice job. Does anyone have questions, comments? Since this is just a draft,
We should vote to approve them, Chairman. And substantially the form presented to allow for any clerical changes that, unless the board has more discussion.
but if it's only the draft, should we accept it or should we wait till the final?
I think you got to issue by next week, Chair, so typically, as I recall last year, we voted to, as long as there were no material changes to the numbers, to approve for clerical or minor differences, which they can notify the board of what those are, I think, as if we get an authority to issue by
Yeah,
September 30th is the deadline.
substantially the form presented. I
Yeah.
mean, we've already identified, you know, a comma or things like that. that-
Yeah,
So, Chair, let me just tell you some of the process we're in. So we did get through QC already on our side. It's in the state right now. We got the first round of questions back. They're using a new system, so there's a lot of rounding questions and things like that. So we're going back to them probably today with the changes. So we're very close to issuing, and then we'll update legal and then get a signed representation letter before the 30th. So.
okay.
Is that the sort of thing, if there are any changes from what they saw today, you'll be able to notify them what they are?
Yeah, and I'm just aware of the state questions. There's really no material change.
It's like off by $1 in
Yeah,
this table
yeah,
because
okay.
of rounding.
Yeah.
Okay, based on the presentation and council's comments, do I have a motion to approve as presented? Motion by Karen, second by Charles. Discussion, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you very much. Nice job.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate it. Thank you. Next, post-go live all electronic toll collection support task force. Kate?
We launched the new toll collection system on August 21st, 2024, and this is in regard to the new gantry in the lanes. It's separate from the back office. Stantec was our on-call consultant since 2021, under contract 19-6, and to be transparent, I put the previous amounts that they were issued under that contract, but that contract has since expired, and we provided them with some new tasks that we needed to get done that were not included in the original scope of work. We need the expertise and support in the areas of developing an oversight plan, coordinating the remaining items on the requirement traceability matrix, testing deferred requirements. There's 5 of them. They are validating the new reports that they released, the maintenance monitoring system alerts, a watch list, which is basically if the state police issue an amber alert, a silver alert, or any law enforcement is looking for something, the new system will be able to flag that. That has not been in place yet. A toll rate schedule that RIPA ourselves can adjust for future toll rates down the road, and then reconciliation process to the new back office. So those are the 5 remaining deferred requirements. One of our biggest changes is going to be upcoming next month, which is the IAG 1.6 ICD conversion. We've asked Stantec to test the lanes prior to that conversion, and then we're going to ask them to test the lanes in comparison to the back off after that conversion. With our back office conversion, we had some revenue discrepancies, which is to be expected once you go live with a new back office. With talking with Jeff, we'd like to reduce that this time around. The 1.6 affects both the back office and the lane side, so we thought this would be a good opportunity to test the lanes as they are now and then test them after the fact when we change over. Like I said, we still need to do the full testing for disaster recovery, which will be, I believe, performed by a third party, along with penetration testing to the system. We've also asked them, because of some of the discrepancies we found in the back office, it's a little bit more complicated. Amovis is both our lane side and our back office. We've asked them to perform a full audit and reconciliation to the new back office, which wasn't in their previous scope of work. We feel Gannett Fleming, who is our consultant on the back office side, has done an excellent job, but we really want to test the logic of the lanes to the new back office. All of that was done to our legacy back office before we went live, and then of course the back office went live after the gantry. So we'd like to come back and do a clean audit of that as well. 12 of the 18 light items are new and they were not included in the previous scope of work. We do expect it to be completed hopefully fairly quickly, within 6 to 8 months. The audit for the 1.6 conversion will take place quickly if this is approved. We did not seek quotes from other toll consultants because we needed the continuity of Stantec's knowledge, as they've been with us on this project as our consultant since 2021. And we feel that the amount is justified and reasonable. So we are recommending approval to execute this new task order in the amount not to exceed $149,909.
Questions?
Just a question for you. I wasn't clear reading it, and maybe you just said it just now. What's the duration of the work anticipated?
I would say 6 to 8 months. I hope many of these, especially the 1.6, will probably get done in the next month. But we hope that it does not go longer than 8 months. But
Yeah, it's just hard to judge the value,
Sure.
the dollars.
I apologize
versus,
for that.
Is this going to be 2 years, 3 years, some of these things?
no, I hope we are done with this long before that.
But it's a not to exceed approach,
Not to
so
exceed.
if they don't use it, we won't spend it.
No, and if we don't, and that's the thing, I did ask them to kind of, this will be the last time I come before the board, so if we don't have to use all of this money, then we won't.
That's
Further questions? Hearing none, excuse me, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the course not to exceed 149,000? That's a good, 909.
Yes, it's very exact.
Didn't see any pennies
Jeff
in
gives
there.
me the template for the task order and it comes out perfectly.
$9,000. Have a motion by Peter, second by Karen, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you. Okay. Next is Mount Hope Bridge Cables and Anchorage Dehumidification Construction Support Services and Resident Inspection Task Order.
I'll take that.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, mouthful. As you know, on July 9th, Rickman conducted a public bid opening for the dehumidification of the cables and anchorages on the Mount Hope Bridge. That was the construction contract. AECOM, which is one of our on-call engineering consultants, was the designer who prepared and developed plans and specs used for the public bid. RIPA staff requested AECOM to develop a task order and fee proposal for the construction support services during the construction phase of the project. AECOM submitted a proposal in the amount not to exceed $1,794,683. RIPA staff have reviewed this proposal and find it reasonable for the anticipated construction duration and scope of work. In addition, RIPA staff requested Kettle Enterprises, who is also an on-call technical service consultant, to develop a task order and fee proposal for a full-time resident inspection during the construction phase of the project. Kettle has substantial resident inspection experience on Mount Hope Bridge construction projects over the past history of projects. Kettle submitted a proposal in the amount not to exceed $902,174. Excuse me. RIPA staff have reviewed this proposal and also find it reasonable for the anticipated construction duration and scope of work. So we are recommending approval of this task order with AECOM in the amount not to exceed $1,794,683, and also approval of the task order with Kettle in the amount not to exceed $902,174.
Okay. Question for legal. Do we have to have two different motions to award the two different amounts to Kettle?
They're presented together in the staff report, Chairman.
So it can be
So you can
one-
take a single motion unless the board wishes to split it up and treat them differently.
Okay. Further, any questions?
Maybe
Yes,
just
sir.
a comment. I think this is interesting from the standpoint of, this is supporting the, what was the Kiewitz $48 million project
49 change, yeah.
over 2 years. So this is over a 2-year period to support that almost $50 million project to make sure all the engineering is correct and that we get our money's worth out of the whole process there. It's pretty remarkable in terms of the amount of work that takes place. It's hard to expand it in this kind of a meeting, but when you talk about dehumidification of the cables, it sounds, well, how hard could it be? But if you look at the total of all the work that's being done, it's just remarkable amount of things that are accomplished in this particular contract to enhance the longevity of the structure. It's not just the cables, there's a lot more to it.
And so just to clarify, the reason we went to Kettle for the daily inspection is because AECOM doesn't really need to be out there on a daily basis for all the activities. They'll come out for certain technical activities, cable unwrapping, testing of certain parts of the cable. But Kettle will be out there on a daily basis. So he'll be the clerk of works. It'll be Dave DeVoe that's proposed, who's very qualified. But they're basically the clerk of works on the job on a daily basis. And then again, AECOM comes out for certain portions of it. So.
Further questions, discussion? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the task orders in the total amount not to exceed $2,696,857 as proposed? Motion by Peter, second by Karen. Discussion, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Next is the EMA maintenance vehicle purchase.
I'll take that one, thank you. The RIPA maintenance truck fleet includes 2 truck-mounted attenuator TMA trucks, 2010 and 2012 model years. The trucks feature a crash attenuator at the rear that absorbs energy in the event of a crash and an integrated arrow board to provide advanced warning to drivers. The TMAs provide a vital component of roadside safety for employees in construction and maintenance operations. Both current TMAs have required a significant amount of repairs, maintenance, and costs to keep operational. RIPA maintenance has also experienced an increased need for the use of the TMAs and an increase in frequencies. TMAs are out of service for repairs or maintenance fairly often because of their age. RIPA staff issued an invitation for bid for a new TMA, brand new, with optional specifications, and received 3 bids from 2 bidders ranging from $135,582 to $149,799. $180,000 was budgeted for this purchase, and this was based on some investigation we did into some costs last year. The lowest bid was provided by JTEC for a new leftover 2024 International CV 515 14-foot TMA. RIPA staff plan to keep both current TMAs in service to provide backup to cover the increasing demand with the goal of always maintaining at least 2 in-service vehicles. RIPA staff recommend approval of a purchase order in the amount of $135,582 with JTEC for the purchase of the new 24 International CV 515 14-foot TMA.
Questions?
Just a comment, Chairman, that I'm observing here that it's a 2024 model, but brand new. So I think you probably saved us a ton of money by approaching it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, we wrote the request for quotes to allow 24 specifically and 25 because we figured somebody could have leftover chassis hanging around that they could offer. And as it turns out, we're saving about $15,000 in doing so.
Nice job. Do I have a motion? Motion by Karen, seconded by Charles. Discussion, hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Saying aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Next, portable changeable message signs.
I'll take that one as well, thank you.
Yes, sir.
RIPA operates and maintains 12 portable changeable message signs, PCMS. The PCMS feature remote changeable LED message boards and remote operation point-to-zoom cameras. They also provide vital roadside communication for safety in construction and maintenance operations. The existing PCMSs were purchased approximately 8 years ago and have required a significant amount of repairs, maintenance, and costs to keep operational. RIPA staff has implemented a phased plan for PCMS replacement and has budgeted $60,000 this year to purchase 2 units. RIPA staff issued an invitation for bid for 2 new PCMS with the optional specifications and received 4 bids ranging from $36,850 to $68,700. During this bid analysis, the lowest bid from Aramco Incorporated was deemed non-responsive. The company had confirmed that they provided a price for the base unit, but it was without the specified options. The next lowest responsive bid from Technology International Incorporated was $43,600 and was confirmed to include all specified options. RIPA staff recommend approval of a purchase order in the amount of $43,600 with Technology International Incorporated for the purchase of 2 brand new PCMSs.
Questions?
Comment, or, well, actually, one question, one comment. What happens to the old signs? How do you deal with the old ones as you phase in the new ones?
So we'll pull the oldest or the ones requiring the most work, and we'll put them in white maintenance yard. We'll either scavenge some of the parts ahead of time and then scrap the unit, or sometimes we'll let them sit, and if something goes wrong with one of the other units, we'll basically keep it as spare parts, and we'll start taking parts off of it. Until we're left with basically a skeleton that's basically worthless and we'll scratch it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and the other thing, it was news to me, and I guess I should have known this, but I didn't realize that there were cameras, that there are actual cameras on all of these signs, so, and that they're monitored by our staff here.
They're monitored by our staff, just like the fixed cameras that are on the bridges and the roadways. And I want to say maybe around 6 months or so ago, we started archiving video. They were not archived, they were live video only. We started to find that we had a use for archiving because they pick up on a lot of incidents where we don't have eyes otherwise. So now we're able to go back and pull up archived video of incidents on the roadway. It could be something that happened with a maintenance crew, maybe an accident, or it could be just a vehicular accident where.
Yeah, that's a pretty neat capability. I was not aware of.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Further comments, questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept and award the contract for an amount not to exceed $43,600? Motion by Charles, second by Karen. Discussion, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Next is the 2016 motor fuel tax bond refunding.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will begin this discussion, and I'll also involve Jeff, and I'll also involve Sean Fisher, who's here from Hilltop Securities, to address this. This is on for discussion only. We are always looking at ways to save money. So achieving savings is one way of making more funds available for our capital projects, of course. Also, it's not just the internal staff that's always looking for those opportunities to save money, but we are aided by the underwriters who often contact us, and they're also watching the situations as Hilltop does for us, and others. And when there is an opportunity to save money, they reach out to us. Until now, they really have not reached out. Or if they reach out and say, we've taken a look at your bonds. There is. We don't see any opportunity here for a refinancing, also referred to as refunding of the bonds. However, now we are, we are receiving communications from underwriters saying, "Hey, we think we can help you. We think there is an opportunity. There's a, I'm going to say, potential opportunity. What's missing here is a crystal ball, just like every investor wishes they had one." We don't, so that is what's missing from the analysis. However, if there is a potential opportunity to refinance the 2016 motor fuel tax bonds, which are callable April 1st, 2026. There's an opportunity that could save us a lot of money. Saving that money, and by the way, there are several different ways to save money. One is to save it steadily over time. If we needed to have more cash available, we could do a refinancing structured in such a way that all the savings are, not all, but the vast majority of the savings, or a significant portion, are achieved in the early years. So that would help us because obviously it's interesting when all pieces of this authority and all of our business comes together. We have all of these capital projects going. We have bids that are coming in, and they've been a bit surprising in terms of a bit higher than expected. So it's important that we save money to have more cash available. So we wanted to at least have the discussion. We may come back to you in the months ahead with an RFP. That's our intent. Obviously, we're going to be watching interest rates carefully. Because that we could come back to you and say that opportunity is no longer here, or no, it seems that we're on track and we're going to pursue a refunding of these bonds. So that's the discussion. Jeff, if you want to add, and then maybe Sean wants to chime in.
You nailed it, so there's nothing more I can add.
Who's the underwriter?
Well, we would go out for an RFP.
No.
Oh,
Who was the underwriter?
Yeah.
Previous on the initial issuance of these bonds.
it
I think it was bad.
was being,
Who was it?
because he's the motor fuel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was BOA.
BOA?
Yep. BNY did the
So,
toll bond.
okay. And so what you'll do is, I mean, obviously you're gonna want to go
Yeah.
refinance these things. Wait till after the first of the year, I would imagine.
Right.
You probably have, what, 2 more rate cuts between now and then, I think.
Yeah, and the earliest, as Lori mentioned, the call date is April 1st.
Right.
And we could technically close up to 90 days before
Prior,
that. So
right.
the earliest possible date would be January 1st, a business day thereafter. But
That probably won't happen.
no, likely not. But it's, again, it's an option, not, if rates rise for some reason, there's no need to call the bonds.
No,
But,
I don't foresee, but we don't foresee that happening. Yeah, okay.
We may have an opportunity.
Oh, there'll be an opportunity. There'll be an opportunity. Okay. I'm sure we'll hear from everyone
And
again.
we expect that we'll be back to you possibly as soon as next month with an RFP so that we're prepared as the new year approaches. We'll be prepared to move forward with the refinancing.
All right. Any other questions?
Will you build optionality in that? I mean, I don't know what your return is on your cash now, but
What's that? I'm sorry?
will you build optionality in that for if they're offering better rates as a result of, whoever's responding to that issuing? We also, for your,
the time we close to,
no, for once you have a new, assuming you have somebody different from BOA or anything, will you include, I've had folks include in their issuances with the financial institution, it's getting a piece of it. Sometimes they're ready to offer you a better return on your cash than what you're getting just by.
Well, are you referring typically to like a direct loan? Or
I don't
No.
understand. I don't
yeah,
understand
I
what you're
wasn't quite sure.
That's why I told you.
Yeah, okay.
There will be an additional, part of the reason these are callable April of 2026 is they were issued in 2016. Most bond issues in the public market come with a 10-year par call. I think the final maturity of these bonds is 2040. So if there's a refunding issued in 2026, you would have probably likely one more chance, a 10-year call, potentially refinance these again.
Yeah, no, I follow that,
Would
yeah.
be there as well for a
Yeah.
potential another.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. All right, so what we'll do is we'll look forward to hearing back from you. Well, Lori will, and she'll pass it along to us. But, excuse me, I think there's an opportunity there in the near future. Yeah, so thank you for that. All right, any other questions, comments? Okay. Next is capital project status report.
Sure, I'll take that as well. Mount Hope Bridge dehumidification, the Protect grant is finally obligated. So we've got the 17 million, and with that, we were able to move forward and execute the contract with Kiewit, which has been done. Tomorrow, we have Kiewit coming on site with AECom and RIPA staff, and we'll be doing a walkthrough of the project of all the different areas so that they can get started, and we'll be having our pre-construction conference in the afternoon in this week. So we'll be able to finally kick this project off, and it's good news. The deck overlay for Mount Hope Bridge was completed. We did have to go out and make about a dozen or so patches after a couple of significant rainstorms that flushed out some defects underneath. Contractor came out, cut everything out in a nice manner, came in with the same material, the UTBO asphalt and a hot box and a roller, made patches in such a manner that you can't even feel when you drive over. So the bridge has been holding up since those patches were made, those handfuls. The PM services, program management services for the infra project continues. HDR has been on top of all three of the contracts and is doing them well. The deck and joint rehab has gone past 30% design. We're working towards the 90% design. The tower painting contract is in 30% design. They've submitted that just recently. And dehumidification is working towards 30%. So they're all kind of trickled, in a tiered format as far as their status.
Eric, question?
Yes.
What's the timetable look like for the actual beginning of work on the deck?
The deck, you're probably looking at advertisement in January of 26, so we anticipate sometime, halfway through the year that we might be able to break ground on that.
That's one of the frequently asked questions that I get.
Yes,
As you
like,
might imagine.
likewise, we get emails on it all the time, so I share the same response with folks when they inquire, so. Fishing Pier Access Road Bridge and Jamestown Bridge joint replacement is ongoing. The contractor's been out there working for the past couple of weeks. We did have some traffic issues several days last week on the eastbound side where they cannot work before 9 a.m. because of the morning rush, but they can work later in the afternoon. There's basically no time limit until, in the evening. Unexplainable what the volume of traffic was last week because it happened on Monday. Tower Tuesday, nothing, literally nothing. Never went past Boston Neck Road. Wednesday, terrible. Thursday, not quite as bad as Wednesday, and then Friday, basically nothing. So, can't explain the anomaly. This week, so far, there's been nothing. We've had no issues. It hasn't gone much past Boston Neck Road again.
But the point is, at the beginning of the Jamestown Bridge from North Kingstown, they're taking one lane.
They're taking a lane, that's right.
That's
Lane
that's
closure,
what's
right.
going on.
Please.
Been there?
Don't, you know, I don't only want to talk about women. Yeah, I've gotten a lot of calls, and well, Eric got a couple calls from me, so.
Oh, I get you.
I mean, I
All
got.
right, so I don't need to ask any more questions about it then.
Well, so they're doing a significant concrete demolition there, and that's why they have to take the lane, because they've got traffic plates in place, but they had to remove parts of the back wall and remove the end of the bridge deck, because what they're doing is they're switching to a deck over back wall detail where the deck used to meet the back wall. So now when they rebuild it, the bridge joint will be behind the bridge back wall, so if it ever did leak in the future, you won't get any steel corrosion because it'll leak into the soil behind the bridge, so. They've been making good progress.
I want to thank you for how quickly you responded to me and my request, so.
Sure.
Thank you very much for
You're
that.
welcome. You're welcome. The HVAC project, I believe we heard the units are they in now? Is that what they said? Yeah. So we've got a couple of small change orders that we need. They found that the blocking that's going to be required in the ceiling in this room is going to be slightly different than what was anticipated on the plan. They did some investigation up in there, so there's a small change order required to hang the big fans that go in this room. And there's one for seismic rated curbs on the roof, because the current units have seismic rated curbs. They're going to install the same, basically they're going to retrofit the new units, so they are also seismic rated, so there's a small change order for that as well. The vessel strike vulnerability assessment, we should have the draft report any day. They promised it by the end of this month, so we expect it again anytime. And
I appreciate it. If, let us know when that comes in. I'd like to.
Sure. And where, ongoing load ratings and inspections are listed in your packet. We have a current contracted value of just over $70 million of work, which is the highest we've had now since I've been here, at least. So that's due to the Mountain Bridge project. So that's just going to climb as we start letting projects for the infra grant funnel. So getting pretty busy.
Thank you. Okay. Next, the Executive Director's Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first item I have noted here is the Southern Massachusetts and Rhode Island Harbor Safety Committee. That was a committee that it became established after the Francis Scott Key Bridge incident in Maryland, Massachusetts and Rhode Island. We reached out, we convened some meetings here. The Marine Pilots Association and the Coast Guard took the initiative to convene this committee. I included it on this report this month because one of the things that I have asked that's new is that we've always had cruise ships out in the harbor. We have always had car carriers coming through to Quonset. The new vessel that we're seeing frequently is the offshore wind vessels. And so I had asked that item be put on the agenda just so that we're certain that the safety issue is being addressed, that there's no additional risk to the Claiborne Pell Bridge. And Eric attended the last meeting, and they did that item at our request was put on the agenda and was discussed. And there are in fact there is in fact a secondary system. There are two systems that make certain that those vessels don't move. We'll continue to monitor it, but I did want to make certain that since we have something new sitting near the Pell Bridge, that we addressed it. We didn't just assume anything that it's no different than some of the others. Obviously, I mean, this is unusual in that some of these vessels, they are crane vessels primarily, and that I didn't think anything could make the Pell Bridge look small, but these vessels do that. So we just wanted to be absolutely certain that we don't have any additional risk, and that was addressed at this last meeting. The customer service initiatives and study, the study is due any day. In fact, what the contractor who's working on it, which is RK&K, he's due to visit us on Friday. I expect to have that report in the next week or two. I'm looking forward to that. In the meantime, the customer service initiatives that we've undertaken have been successful. I say that with a total sigh of relief that that we are seeing much more manageable phone response to our customers, and the walk-in center is also manageable. We do have initiatives that we know we have to undertake. Transponders with dead batteries, that is one thing. Also, we still need to educate our customers that transponders, if they are to be read properly, they have to be mounted properly in the car, and that on the dashboard, in the glove box, being held by your hand. In the old days with the toll booths, I used to see the people who would put it outside the car above the roof as they would one hand on the steering wheel and one hand out the window. None of that works. They find out the hard way when they look at their account or find out that they're not getting charged the correct rate of tolls. So we are undertaking several initiatives you will see, that we're reaching out to customers, that we probably will be reaching out on social media with some strategically placed ads and messages to mount your transponder properly. And if you have a transponder that goes back to 2008, 2009, please swap it out for a new one, because you've gotten your money's worth. So that's what's going on there. Mount Hope Bridge resurfacing, Eric's already spoken to that. I've made myself I'm the self-designated inspector. I go over probably more frequently than anybody. It's beautiful. It looks nice. It rides nice. The issues were addressed promptly and correctly, and we are. And Lynch did a great job there. So the great news on infra is that we received an email last week saying that the Protect grant, the infra grant, has been fully executed and the funds obligated for some time. Protect, we were a little bit worried about, and we mentioned to you that there's been some bumps in the road. The Protect grant is the money for the dehumidification of the Mount Hope Bridge. And we just received an email last week that it is fully executed now. That's a great thing, and we're under the wire really, because some of the funds at least are fiscal year 22 funds, and they were due to expire September 30th. So we love that we have a fully executed agreement, and our funds are secure. That's great news. The NTSB vulnerability assessment study of the Pell Bridge, we haven't received that yet. It's due. We've been asked by the federal government, are you still on track to receive it when you expect it? We answered that we are on track. We'll receive it by the end of the month in draft form. The final form probably mid-October, and that was the only question asked of us. I do know that some of the other agencies that were given, that received the letter saying, please do a vulnerability of vessel strike study, they're being asked about the AASHTO calculations. So, that is, AASHTO is a professional association. There are calculations that do their best to assess the likelihood of risk, or what's the level of risk. We haven't been asked that yet, and we will be looking forward to seeing what Mojeski and Masters has to say in that report that's due at the end of this month. Roger Williams, we have some property over at Roger Williams. There is there are two properties. Interestingly, we own one that they need. They own one that we need. We could not agree on the value of these properties. Each of us engaged an appraiser. We went to a third appraiser. We are going to be doing lease terms that are essentially in line with the third appraiser that both parties agreed to, and we think those terms are fair and reasonable. So you will see a lease of those properties in the months ahead. And the last thing I have is the next board meeting, which I have here is October 22nd. but the board chair will not be available. So we're going to probably move that date a little up or a little back. And I will check with the members of the board to make sure that we know availability so that we can change that date.
Thank you.
That's it.
Further comments, questions? Nice job, everyone. Thank you very much. Good meeting. Motion to adjourn. Motion second, discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, the ayes have it. Thank you.
How about that?